Good morning. My name is Vera Douglas. My husband George and I came to this area in 1995, the latter part. We had just retired from the University of South Alabama and moved to Pirates Cove. We had planned to attend another church because George had gone to high school with the pastor of that church. But we were told by our pastor at Spring Hill, quote unquote, that we would not fit in. We would fit in better at First Presbyterian Church. So we followed his advice and started coming to this church in 1995, the month of December. We had been at church for 3 Sundays when a very lovely but flamboyant lady came up to me and George and said to us, "You've been here 3 Sundays, now join." So we did. As we were going out the door, we were greeted by several women and they were very gracious and welcomed us to the church and said to me, actually not us, but said to me, "You need to join PW." Well, in my mind, I had not planned to join PW or get involved because I had been so involved over in Spring Hill. But next thing I knew, Marie Hamburg was taking me to Kitty Bragg's house to attend PW. And from there, I became, of course, very involved in PW. I was chair of several of the circles. I also became moderator of all the circles here and also served on the South Baldwin County Board. And so that was my career in PW, but we no longer have PW now at the church. During our time, George and I both taught. He basically taught and I assisted. We did many disciple courses and various other courses, and you'll hear his name often because he was, as I said, a great teacher. We were active in Logos in that I was the comforter, and that name comforter is a misnomer because actually I got the kids who had misbehaved in class and had to come to the comforter. Well, there were several that I got to know very well, and they are grown men now. I also cooked for Logos and Philip Heinsley, and I even cooked for a group that were going through confirmation, and that was a delightful thing to do. I have served on the session and been on several committees. I also served as the head of the nominating committee that brought Jonathan Wallace here. I had some experience on another nominating committee, so I was well prepared for what to look for in a pastor. I have been active on various committees. Right now I'm serving on staff committee, budget and finance committee, the fellowship committee, and sometimes help out on witness and service. Witness and service was George's favorite committee, and that he chaired that a couple of times. And so I do have a great interest in that committee, but fellowship really is the one that I felt that God was leading me to. And I have helped out, besides serving on the committee and being chairman twice, I still continue to be active on that committee. I have taught several courses. I have enjoyed being a member of this church and meeting such wonderful people like Sarah Leonard, who sticks out in my mind so much because she was really an example of what a Christian is and does. I also have been active in Curcio. Now, Curcio was a 3-day weekend for Christians, and Sanford Turner brought that to our church. He and Jed Suttle and Sarah Leonard went off to Georgia for the first Curcio that they had attended, and they came back and started the Presbyterian Curcio. I was on many of the Curcios and worked at various jobs there at Curcio, and George was moderator one year, which was a very good year. And we still have our 4th day group that came out of Curcio, and we have been meeting in that 4th day group for over 20 years. There are some pastors that have passed through this church that have been very meaningful to me. One of them is Toby Mueller. She was our first woman pastor and was a delight. You could hear Toby coming down the hall. She had this wonderful laugh, and you knew that things were going to work out well when she was around. We have had 2 very compassionate interim pastors, Van Eddington and Bill Seibert. They have helped shape this church and shape the members of this church, and were a wonderful example of what a Christian is. I have enjoyed being in this church and hope to continue for a number of years. And right now I'm serving on the staff committee, the budget and finance committee, and the fellowship committee. And I have to say, fellowship is my baby because I was chair a couple of times, and I find it a great committee to be on. I am ready to retire now, I hope, and just sit back and watch the young people work. I am probably, though, just thinking I'm going to retire. This is, like I say, this has been a wonderful church, and I am glad that we didn't fit in at the other church.